That's coming up next. If you have any concerns or questions, the number to call is 465-2555. That's 2555. Our guests are already here. Yeah, we're ready to go, man. We're ready to go for another day. Thanks for being a part of our program. And this morning, don't touch that dial. We got more for you. And then right after Waterline, we have Frank and Candid with the man Alva Bradley. So don't touch that dial, man. Thanks for being a part of the show, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning, same time, same place. We can do it all over again. Here's Waterline up next, right after these messages.
Newtown Fishers Cooperative Society will be having its first annual Bastia Fishing Tournament, Sunday 16th October, World Food Day. Musical entertainment provided by EK, The Real Right, The Ladies Defender, Triple S, Sweet Sister Sensia, and the Horny Band Grand Masters. Lots of fun and games for the family. Plenty to eat and drink. Seafood galore. Grilled fish, conch shoulder, lobster, and more. Boat race, wet t-shirt competition, and plenty more activities. The admission? Absolutely free. A huge thank you to the sponsors: Carol Breweries and Casinos Limited, Delta Petroleum, Budget Marine, Skelec, Social Security, Soul Limited, and ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation. So remember, come to the Bastia Fisheries Complex on Sunday 16th October, World Food Day, and find out who will win the first annual Bastia Fishing Tournament.
Girl, you got some animals on here killing me. They would not keep out my yard. Can't even get food from my own garden. I'm trying to save to buy some fencing, but they're very expensive, and the cheaper ones won't keep the donkeys out.
You haven't heard that we have our very own fence manufacturers right here in the Federation, and their prices are better than any place else. JMF Fencing in Long Point, Nevis. Joe bought some heavy fence from them that's keeping out the big animals for the same price as other places sell that light, flimsy wire that animals just push down. Plus, they make whatever height you want, 3 to 10 feet. And you know what? Buying stuff made right here keeps the money in the Federation and boosts our economy. And listen, JMF Fencing's customer service is top-notch, girl. So call them now. The number is easy to remember, 469-4692. You got it? 469-4692. J&F Fencing in Long Point in Nevis, your local chain link manufacturer.
Isn't it great when your experience pays off? Finally, drivers 50 years and over can enjoy the benefits of their years of driving experience. With Beacon's 50 Plus plan, you can expect a hassle-free sign-up, affordable fixed rates, and free windscreen cover with your car insurance. Call Kane Agencies Limited at 465-3333 or log on to beacon.co.tt and get driving today.
Water is life, 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 life. Water is life, 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 life. Do just one thing,
Every drop count. Make sure you check for leaks around your house every day. Every drop count. When brushing your teeth, don't let the water run away. Come steady the water, preserve the water right now. Every drop count. Save the water whenever you take in your shower. Every drop count. Make saving the water your business every hour. The water, the water, the water, the water right now. It's up to me and you and you and you and you. The water right now.
do just one thing.
A pleasant good morning to all our listeners in Radioland, those of you in tune to us via radio, YouTube, and Facebook. Welcome to another edition of our radio show, The Waterline. The Waterline is a radio program brought to you by the St. Kitts Water Services Department every second and fourth Wednesday of each month. I am Shireen Awana, and it is my pleasure to take you through today's show. For today, we will focus on the water challenges that the department are currently facing. And I have with me two gentlemen in the studio, and and I will allow them to introduce themselves.
Good morning. My name is Malcolm Herbert, clerk of Works at the Water Services Department. I'm also representing the Groundwater Division as the inspector.
Okay.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Ian Francis of the Water Services Department. I am a pump operator, electrician. I also represent groundwater. Pump operator entails in installation of pumps into wells, maintenance, switching on and off pumps, etc.
Okay, so it seems as though I can assume, and the public can assume, that you guys are intimately involved in ensuring that the water is distributed from the source to their homes. Yes. Critical individuals in the department, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I have some questions for you, and I hope that the information that you will divulge will be beneficial to the public. So over the last 2 weeks or so, the St. Peter's area has been experiencing some challenges as it relates to receiving a steady supply of water. Can you help us to understand what is the core challenge? What really has caused that issue?
Okay. As I said, I'm the clerk of works, so that covers this falls under my privilege. For the situation in the St. Peter's area, this was caused initially by the main well that we have supplying St. Peter's, that went down some weeks ago, about 2 weeks or so ago, on a Friday night. This is something that, in order to repair it, we have to have crane trucks and have a number of fellows out. We have to have new pumps, new motors. So that we started the work on Saturday. The initial work was started on this Saturday morning, which took us right down to about 5 o'clock the afternoon to get the pipes and the pumps and the motor out of the well, remove the faulty motor, and reinstall a new pump and motor. In the process of doing that, as you know, the public will be using water out of the reservoir. So without any water going into that reservoir from the pumps, the reservoir will run empty, this is what happened. After we complete the task of putting back in the new pump and motor, setting up the correct parameters and everything, starting up the pump and motor, now it's going to take a time for the water to get up into the different tanks, and then it's going to take some more time to feed out and refill the line. I must say, unlike Skellig, where when they finish the repairs on the line and they turn back on the power, is somewhat instant. Automatic. Everybody receive the electricity. The water sources is supplying water is somewhat different because of the terrain, where you have a lot of basically hill and gullies. So those folks that are on the lowest end, the lowest point of that distribution system, will get back the water within, you could say, a half an hour to an hour time. But then that will take the other folks high up, that will take some time, because you have to fill the line accordingly, and as you fill up the line, we are fighting against consumers using water because they ain't had, or filling back the cistern or the drums or whatever they have, and as it climb up to the higher elevation. So where you'll find like someone at the lowest point will get back the water, let's say in half an hour after we start up the pump. You might find someone at the highest point will get back the water 6 hours or sometimes days, because of the fact that you have to purge the line, get rid of all the air out of the line so the water could flow freely. So that's basically what happened, and it unfortunately caused us to have some consumers out of water for some days.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Herbert. And I think you were kind of snooping on my script because somehow you began to answer my follow-up question, which would have been, of course, we have customers, consumers who reach out to us, and one of their major issues is you issue a notice and you say that we should expect the water to be back by 5 p.m. And so by 5:10, they're expecting, well, where's my water? They're expecting a rush of water to come out the pipe. And I'm happy that you're able to explain that it depends on where you are, your how elevated you are, the landscape in where you reside and stuff like that determines how fast you get back the water and at what pressure as well. And so it is not necessarily a case, I gather from what you're saying, that the water hasn't been restored. It just hasn't got to your residences yet. Correct? Okay.
And then if I could interject
Sure.
in that sense, because we have a lot of valves on the lines too, and hydrants. Sometimes they are air trapped within the pipes. So then we have to open the valve sometimes to release the air pressure out of the pipes so that the water can flow. And in that process, sometimes we do waste some water because we need the air out of the pipes. But sometimes that's one of the hampering. That's why the water isn't restored quickly.
Okay, and I think that was a similar situation with the St. Peter's area.
Yes.
Okay, so observing the feedback from residents in the area and in general, when there's a water outage, you would hear persons say, Sam has water. I live 2 lots away from Sam.
Yes.
How comes Sam water ain't gone and my gone? Explain that.
As I mentioned earlier, when I used the reference to skillet and the supply, if you I will use a lot of examples using skillet because skillet is overhead, so everyone are able to see the wires, and it might be a little easy for them to understand where I'm coming from. When you look overhead, you see skillet have the high tension wires. They have 3 wires. They have 4 set of wires running parallel to the ground. I might be in a village. I might be house number 1. Mr. Francis might be house number 2. Miss Warner might be house number 3. House number 1 might have back its electricity. House number 2 don't. House number 3 have it. House number 4 don't. And all are on the same road right next to each other. So it's basically a form, what skeleton is a form of trying to have a balance in the system. So they feed one person off of one line, the other person off of the other line, and so forth, go along. It's something similar with the water distribution, where you have the pipes on the ground. This road, we don't do individual house, we do basically roads by roads. So you might find one road have back the water supply, but then the lower road, or the higher road rather, might not have the water supply return will not have the water supply return at the same time. As I said before, you have to fill up all that line, come right across the road, get out all the air, and then have the water come up and come around to supply the other road. So one road, as you just rightly say, folks normally call in and say, I'm just below Tom and I have Tom have water, or I'm just above Tom and Tom have water, I don't have no water. The water is already in the pipeline coming around to you, but it's going to take a little longer time to get to you because of the fact that we are fighting against Tom using water, filling back up what his cistern or his tanks or whatever, and air in the line, the water has to push the air out to get it out of the line. We in return also has to go and help that water by opening fire hydrants to get the water out of the line a little faster, so you just above could get water.
Yeah. Correction, get the ear out the line.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, get the ear out the line. Okay, so now, with all that being said, we also understand, of course, that climatic conditions, they play a major role in our water supply. Now, of course, beyond the water supply, beyond getting rain, etc., there's some other challenges that I imagine that you face, technical challenges that you face in terms of being able to distribute a reliable source of water. What other challenges do you face?
Okay.
How does, like for instance, how does electricity factor in? You mentioned skeleton several times, Mr. Herbert. How does electricity factor into, being able to supply the water?
Okay. I know most folks will say that water and electricity does not mix. They may be right in one aspect, but on the other hand, water department is our pumps 100% reliance on Skellig supplying electricity for our pumps and motors to operate, to pump water from low elevation to high. Fact of the matter, to pump water, period. In order to have the pump and motors on, we have to have supply from Skellig. So you may find Skellig might have an issue in, let's say, Sunny Point. But the problem with Skellig have in Sunny Point will have an effect on the well that we have in Sunny Point, supplying the Sunny Point area with water. So if current gone, the pump's gonna shut down because there are no electricity to operate the pumps. So Skellig directly have we are 100% reliant on Skellig in terms of the operation of the pumps.
Okay. That being said, what's the contingency plan? Do you have backups, generators?
Yes, we do have backup generators, but as any man-made stuff can fail, and sometimes we have failure in our generators too. Sometimes we have, even when the power is restored, sometimes we have overload from Skellig back to our genset or back to our pumps, and then it also causes failures too. But there are backup generators for when electricity is out. We do use our backup generators to get the pumps up and running.
Is electricity the only issue that really affects your generators, causes any issues with your generators? Any other issues that you tend to have with the generators?
Well, no, electricity is part, but there are so many other issues. For example, let me use the common wood slave in our homes. I'm sure everyone can attest to the nuisance of them. These crawl into the smallest of holes that are available. So we have our controls, pumps control panels. We're having a lot of moving parts in them. These wood sleeves get into those panels and they put themselves between the contacts that's turn on and turn off the pumps, or the unit on the wires, and this short out the panels. And sometimes when they get between the contacts and the contacts try to close, the current, it kills them, so they jam up inside there, and then we have to go. Although with those maintenance, one has to understand that you may just done service this panel and you turn off to go service another one. Within 20 minutes, 5 minutes, a wood slave get in and basically undo what you just done. So wood slaves. You also have the situation where one has to understand that 90% of our wells are placed where there were cane fields, and cane field has in a lot of rodents in it. And so although we have a landscaping crew which cleans around the wellhead from time to time, these rodents, as you know, are very nuisance, and they get into the building and they bite up, destroy a lot of the electrical wires inside the building and cause the panels them not to work, get into the generators, the standby generators them, and bite up the wires, and then we have to repair as part of the electrical part of the generator. Some of them we don't have the part in stock, because these are parts that are not necessarily go bad often, so we end up have to order. You might have two going down at one time, so you might have one in stock, so you end up have to order. And a number of these effect that takes toll on us, keeping the pumps running and keeping the general public satisfied with the water supply.
Okay, great. So you mentioned rodents, and that sort of leads me to another point that you mentioned. You mentioned that there's a landscaping team in place. How often do you do preventative maintenance? Other preventative maintenance? How frequent?
Okay. With preventative maintenance, we have roughly 29 wells throughout the island. We also have a number of what we call booster pump station, which takes water from a lower elevation and boosts it up to a much higher elevation where some folks live, on the hilltops and so on. So in order to sorry, I forgot the question again.
Preventative maintenance.
Yes, I did say Jack was looking at something else. We have Groundwater have a staff of 8 personnel. We have electricians, we have mechanics, we have inspectors. So we try to divide up that crew. We might have a crew going, let's say, in rural east area. The rural east area, we consider it from Matinley to Deep. So we might have a crew going in that area to do maintenance this week. So depends on what they meet when they go. You could either get through within an hour, 2 hours time, or it could take you all morning. And so you'll find if we go do maintenance this week, next week should be Rural West or Bastille. Unfortunately, at times that does not happen, because in between that you might have a breakdown with a pump, you might have a breakdown with a generator, and it's the same set of electrician mechanics that we have to work on that breakdown. So then you will have a pause in that. Also, as I mentioned earlier, is groundwater, and we have over 30 active and inactive well sites throughout the island that we do monitor monthly. We go around by each one of them and take a measurement of what we call the static water level, which is basically the water level in that well at that moment. We also do what you call monthly checks, where Skelex send a personnel with us and they read the meter, we read our meter, and we come around. So there's a number of different things apart from the maintenance which we does. So we will do maintenance, like we have maintenance scheduled for the first week in a month. Unfortunately, as I said before, it does not run smoothly at all times.
Okay, noted. So let's go back to, we touched on how you maintain it and all of that. I want us to look at any challenges you have with them being, you mentioned that, you know, they're on farmer sugarcane fields, they're in remote areas, out of sight, generally. Any challenges with human tampering, etc.?
Yes, we do, especially in the Aquifer by Kim Collins Highway. We do have a lot of human tampering, which in human goes, and sometimes maybe someone gives us their garbage to carry to solid waste, and instead we carry it to solid waste. We go and we dump it beside the wells, and that also causes a big problem with rodents, because rodents love garbage. And it also causes a problem sometimes with fire. I don't know if when some of us drive and the bypass, we see this big fire to there. Sometimes we feel like it's the firemen, but a lot of time it's because of the garbage that are between there and the sun starting fire. So we have those problems with human, and also with sometimes, like for up Shadwell, we have a well up Shadwell, and we have fencing, and someone went and took the fencing from around the pump, which gave it human access, animals access, so anyone can go in and do anything. So we do have those problems with humans at time to time.
And of course it's clear on the face to see that dumping of garbage, the garbage itself leading to fires, as well as the breeding of rodents. And then if you remove the resources, the fencing and stuff like that, you impede you open up the access rather.
Yeah.
And so essentially we see what's happening there. The quality of the water is at a risk. So of course we'd want to appeal to our consumers and stuff to be very mindful of things like those, because at the end of the day, the same persons who are dumping the garbage, I'm almost 100% sure that they need the same water to drink.
Yep.
So you're helping yourself, you feel, in one hand to dispose of your garbage easily, but you're sort of doing yourself a disservice in terms of your health and the quality of the water that you would get at the end of the day. Speaking of the quality of the water, you have any challenges with like leakages, anything, spillage, anything that affects the water? Any challenges in that regard?
Yes, we do in some aspect. I don't know how much of our listening audience are aware of, for example, Beach Allen School, just up at Taylor's. We had a well just behind Beach Allen School. That well was there before Beach Allen School, and the village, the Taylor area village, that well was there before that area also got developed in that area, before you get development in that area. Unfortunately, because of the development, which, you know, as the country grow, you have the development, we had homes that were built above that well. Building homes, you know, obviously you're gonna have soakaway, septic tanks, drainage, water runoff, and that sort of thing. This we are very mindful of, because the soakaway especially, if with the construction of the septic and the soakaway, if these are not done properly, and if the correct set of water has not been disposed in the correct area, you have basically helped that contaminated water to get down into the well field. So we end up had to, along with other reasons, we end up had to abandon the use of that particular well. in that area, because the levels, the chemical levels, we started seeing a rise in those things that were not safe for human consumption. So we are appealing to contractors when they go to build someone's house to please spend time and carry out the correct procedure in setting up the soakaway and the septic, so we could limit any leakage into the soil that will get down into the aquifer.
Something that just crossed my mind too while you mentioned septic tanks. Would the same message apply to farmers?
Definitely. Goes back to the fact that we mentioned earlier about the rodents in and around the wellhead, the pump house. One would say, why not just throw down some rat poison? We have to understand that these things are things that are not consumable by humans. They are poisonous. So we can't just throw them down and have the chemicals seep down into the soil and down into the aquifer. This will be basically cutting off our hands. So we have to now find ways and means of dealing with these insect pests without the chemical. Likewise, the farmers, they have to find other ways and means of protecting their crops without some of the chemicals that they would like to use. So definitely we also would plead to the farmers who are in most, as you know, farming mostly done in the higher elevation, but you have a few lower ground. We definitely plead to the farmers to beware of the chemicals that they use, and if they are not sure, they could call the Water Services Department and ask some questions, and or I sure Agriculture Department also will be able to assist them in the correct chemicals and the amount of chemicals to use to kind of preserve the aquifers throughout the island.
Okay, that's an important mention. We'll want to pause to see if we have any callers on the line. And we do have some callers. So, caller, good morning. Welcome to the Waterline.
Yes, good morning. Let me turn the radio down quick. Yes, sir, gentleman there, you made a mention of some important things. You talk about rodents getting in your control system, which is supposed to be sensitive things. You ever thought about getting anybody to make guards to prevent that? Even to get in the building?
Caller, can you just speak a little louder?
What? Somebody don't beg and hear me. Anyway, I was saying that the gentleman here made mention of rodents getting into the panels of the control system. So I was wondering if you all ever thought about getting somebody to make guard to prevent anything at all from getting in there, because for that, after you mentioned also that parts are not available, you have to order whatever, and it takes time. Then that time you're out of water. I agree with all of that. But people here commit the yards. If you put yards, people do metal work and all of that, and they commit the yards. The sugar factory used to make yards for a lot of things, so that to prevent that kind of thing from happening. So I don't see why you all can't do that. And lastly, I noticed you mentioned things that we got a number of matrices here. The matrix water will come off from the matrix, from the home, those homes, funeral homes. That is a very dangerous water as far as I know. And I hear you all mention that. But lastly, where the schools are put near to our development go close to the existing wells. Don't you have a system where you could do more testing? And it seems to me that there is not enough collaboration between the authorities who build the houses and the water facilities and all of that, and Kellock and all of that. To me, it doesn't seem as if we have enough collaboration. And when the people building houses, there should be an inspection regime. Not necessarily contractor, because contractors are shortcut too. They watch this, a lot of them watch this. So you need an inspection regime make up out of people across the authorities. And so that it will be better for the general public. No wonder we got so many kind of diseases springing up in the last number of years. Have a good, I don't know if you could address my question.
Certainly, caller, thank you. Right. Your point on the collaboration, I'll start at the bottom, between the various relevant departments is, I suppose, what it is supposed to be. So I don't think anyone would question that point. You spoke about testing, Mr. Herbert. You didn't quite get the question.
I would like to speak on the first one that you talked about guards. Yes, we do have guards on the pump house. We have the windows and doors are secured. We have mesh to keep out rodents. But we do know that even in our homes, we have preventative measures to keep rodents out of our home. But even as we spoke about that very same wood slave, for some reason it gets into our homes, even though we have window guards and door guards. So it is the same thing. Even though we have mesh and we have guards to prevent the windows and the doors, the wood slave still gets in and gets into the panel and cause problems for us.
Yeah. And you know that even in our homes, as best as we try, it's a task to get rid of them.
Yes,
I think everybody can attest to that. So I imagine further afield in the cane fields, it would be an even greater challenge. I think the caller would accept that. He also asked about water from funeral homes impacting the quality of the water. He had concerns about that.
At present, I can't speak directly to that because I am not aware of that happening.
Okay, no problem.
So I can't speak directly to that, but I could go back and ask some questions, do some investigation on a subsequent program, maybe make a response. One of my other colleagues, as they come along, could make a response to that.
Okay, so caller, on the questions of the water from the funeral homes and the testing of the water, we are expecting to have another show that will speak to water quality, and I'm certain that the guest on that show will be in a better position to address those questions.
Was he speaking about just a general testing?
I'm not sure. So, do we have any other callers on the line? Caller, welcome to the water line. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Yes, morning.
Good morning. Hello.
Go right ahead, caller. Good morning.
I don't know how serious I am about water, but I've been calling a good while now about a leak up by the hospital. You know which part the hospital got a hydrant up there in Buckley's. We have a leak there for almost about 6 months now, going for a year. And I try to call somebody about it, and they say they come in, and the leak still right there. When you come across the bypass road, when you pass the tire place, and the bypass road to go down in Buckley's, just turn across the road right there by the project houses, come across until you meet the dirt road right there. You can see the leak right there. The leak been there for almost 6 months. And I keep calling about it all the time and nobody's studying me.
You're speaking of the first road on your left hand side coming down?
Coming down. As soon as you come down, past the tire place, come down the first left. You just come across on the project road, you come straight across until you meet the dirt road. As soon as you meet the dirt road, you're going to see the leak right there.
Okay.
So I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
Alright.
Thanks for that.
Thank you, caller. Do we have any other callers online? We seem to have another caller. So caller, we'll hear from you. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I'm making a calling to make a complaint. I'm calling from Keys. Behind my house, which is about Central Keys on the side, on the line, like a line, behind the meter for some months, there's been a leak. Water been settling there for some months. Can you please come and check it? Keys Village, on the left side, east side, about Central Keys, a Keys house. House and fence are the same color. There's some water been settling behind of the meter on the line side.
Carlo, good morning. Would you mind to give us a contact number?
667
Yes.
1446 1446.
Okay.
667 1446.
Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Thank you,
20 minutes or so?
Sorry?
In the next 20 minutes or so?
Sometimes.
Hey, have a good day.
All right.
Do we have any other callers on the line? Good morning, caller. Welcome to the water line.
Yeah, hi, good morning. How are you doing?
We're fine, thanks.
Yeah, I have a question. They were attempting to dig a well in the Shadwell area, and that well had to be abandoned, apparently because the level of arsenic in the water was too high, because arsenic itself is very lethal. And I am wondering, what are they doing to bring down the level of arsenic in the water, in the area, in the well field up at Shadwell? Are they using mechanical method? Are they using filtration, precipitation filtration? What are they doing to reduce the level of arsenic in the area of Shadwell where they are attempting to dig some well? Because I believe the soil profile would be the same thing throughout that area, show that well field. Are you aware of anything they are doing to attempt to reduce the level of arsenic in the water at the Shadwell area? And I also think that it is high time that the technical people come and have a discussion with us. They're assuming that people would not understand. But we have people out here who would thoroughly understand what is going on. I might be able to make an input as to how they could reduce the concentration of arsenic inside of the well water that they're meeting, because the arsenic is associated with clay soil, and the soil profile in that well field is uniformly the same thing. So I don't know if you can answer it, or you can get a technical person to come and maybe have a discussion with us. But I think it needs to be addressed, because people are quite aware of the energy, the time and money that is being used to dig wells in that Shadwell area where the soil profile is not basically changing. Okay, I'll listen off here.
Okay, Mr. Herbert, you want to say anything on that?
Thank you very much. As you are well aware, we have more than one well in the Shadwell area. All of the wells are not showing the same chemical makeup in terms of the water. That there is one well in particular that was drilled by Bead, the company that the government hired to drill the wells, and that well is not in operation because, yes, of some issues we're having at that well. The same Bead company the government has put that same Bead company to deals with whatever chemicals that is in the water that is above WHO standard for human to consume. So Bead is in process of dealing with that as we speak. I can't give a definite answer on what type or what kind of work they are doing, but as you rightfully said, I could get that information and on a subsequent showing some light on that.
Caller, we appreciate you for asking your question, and as Mr. Herbert indicated, this is the purpose of the show, and so perhaps on a follow-up show we can use the opportunity to shed some light on wells and where we are in that regard. So thanks for your question. As we close, here's your water tip for today. Watering your lawn and plants around midday can waste up to 300 gallons per month. Water during the cooler parts of the day. Early morning is better than dusk, since it helps to prevent the growth of fungus. Also, try using grey water to water your plants and your lawn. We also remind you that you can save yourself the hassle of finding parking and standing in long queues by paying your water bill online on our website www.water.gov.kn, and we remind you that for inquiries like you can do here on our show, you can also contact us directly at 467-1005 or 467-1447, or you can email us at water.services@gov.kn. We want to thank all of our listeners for choosing to join us this morning on the Waterline. Thanks to those of you who called us and engaged in meaningful discourse, whether it was to ask a question or make a suggestion or even file a complaint. We thank you for propelling us to continue our duty, not to just be any service provider, but to be a quality service provider. As we sign off, we hope that you would be with us for the next edition of the Waterline on Wednesday, 26th October. Thank you.
Water is life, 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 life. Water is life, 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 life. Do just one thing, just one thing.
Every drop come, make sure you check for leaks around your house every day. Every drop come, when brushing your teeth, don't let the water run away. Come steady the water, preserve the water right now.